tell the truth?
I do.
Have a seat.
Will you say your name for the court and spell it for the record?
Jesse Browning. It's going to be JESSE-BROWNING.
And just keep your voice up so I can hear you out here. Don't worry too much about that microphone.
Yeah, the microphone.
I'm going to tell you, just ignore it. Just keep your voice up so we can hear you.
All right.
Where do you work at?
I work for the Memphis Police Department.
For how long?
15 years.
And what is your current assignment there?
Multi-agency gang.
Are you an investigator?
Yes.
How long have you been with the multi-agency gang unit?
Since 2015, so 9, 10 years.
In that capacity, have you engaged and been primarily responsible for quite a few sort of long-term, larger-scale investigations?
I have.
Did you become involved in the investigation surrounding the murder of Dolph?
I did.
I think what I'll do is ask you a few substantive questions about that investigation at the end, but first let's hear about your special qualifications and experience with cell phone analysis, cell phone extractions.
All right. So about the last 9, 10 years, I've been analyzing cell phone images and extractions and dealing in call detail records, which is what you just saw. I'm not an expert like he is, but I have been trained and certified in Cellbrite, XRY, PinLink, which is one of the softwares used to kind of produce those mappings that you see in the records. And I use them on a day-to-day basis for about the last 10 years, 19 years.
Have you done that in the course of numerous investigations?
Numerous, yeah.
Have you looked at, and let's back up, when you said you're not an expert, like you were talking about Mr. Gardner,
Oh, yeah.
whose expertise the jury heard was on cell phone location testimony.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Do you have expertise in those cell phone extractions and analysis of those extractions?
I have been certified. I wouldn't say I'm an expert in the extraction end. On the analysis, I do a lot of analysis. Garner does phones every single day. And that's what his primary job is. I'm an investigator. I utilize those tools to find evidence. Garner can dive into those phones and actually get the evidence that I need.
You have reviewed hundreds of cell phone extractions, is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
Looking for evidence?
Yes.
In other investigations?
Other investigations.
And numerous cell phones in this investigation?
Numerous cell phones in this investigation.
And how many years you say you've been doing that sort of stuff?
10 years.
And are you, tell me if I'm using the right word, when I look at a cell phone extraction, it's some program called Cellbrite?
Cellbrite is one of them, yes.
Okay. Is that one of the programs you use to look at the extractions?
Yes.
And is there more programs that you use too?
Yes, there are more programs.
All right. And are you familiar with navigating all those programs and been trained on those programs?
Yes.
Have you testified with regard to the results and your analysis of cell phone extractions in the counties, in Shelby County before?
Yes.
In courts?
In court.
One time or several times?
Maybe 1 or 2 times, not many.
In this case, I'm talking about the murder of Dolph.
Yes.
Did you have occasion to analyze several cell phones?
I did.
In particular, did you have occasion?
Yo, man, shout out to the people that's in here right now, man. Hope y'all having a blessed day.
And to analyze the cell phone extraction from the defendant Justin Johnson's phone?
I did.
And if you're looking at this video right now, man, why don't you go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe.
In the course of doing that, did you also analyze cell phone extractions from other phones as well, like Cornelia Smith's phone?
Cornelia Smith's phone,
Like-
Angela Arnold.
Like Angela Arnold's phone? Like Treon Ingram's phone?
Trion Ingram.
And other individuals?
Yes.
in preparation for your testimony today, you and I spoke, is that correct?
We did.
And I asked you to look at certain things, is that correct?
That's correct.
Certain things regarding Mr. Johnson's phone? And did you do that?
I did.
And in fact, did you prepare a report outlining some of those things?
I did.
Let me pass you this. Ask you if you recognize it.
This is my report.
Okay. And for the record, we look at it, physical phone analysis, Justin Johnson, cellular device 236-1625. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's the first page?
That is the first page.
And in that report, before we go through it, in that report, does it isolate particular text messages, for instance?
It does.
Particular communications?
It does.
Maybe an image or two?
Yeah.
And other things in the case?
Correct.
Your Honor, we'd offer that evidence to stay sex number, sir.
No objection.
This is a several page document. You know how many pages?
I do not know the exact amount.
Several page document. It's under the back. Physical phone analysis. Justin Johnson, cellular device information. With the MSISDN number of 901-236-1625. We'll mark this as as collected exhibit 67.
Right. If we could publish this to the jury, I'm going to ask you some questions as we go, Detective, okay?
All right.
And we'll start with just that front page. What's this information over to the left here?
So this is just an overview and an extraction report. And so as you see, I highlight, usually what I'll do is just highlight things. Obviously, I'm going to highlight the telephone number, but if there's anything that kind of identifies the user that sticks out, because you can get aliases and things like that, if it appears to be their full name, I'll just highlight. So essentially, I highlighted Justin T. Johnson 123@gmail.com.
Okay, that's the Apple ID Gmail account.
Correct.
With regard to the phone. We can go back. That's the Apple ID or Gmail account with the phone?
Correct.
Okay. And target number 236-1625.
Correct.
I asked you to look at certain text messages within a certain time frame. Is that correct?
That's correct.
If we flip the page to the next, do you see one of those?
We do.
All right, tell me what we got here.
So right here we have on November 16th, 2021, at 6:10:31 p.m., we have Treon Ingram sending a outgoing text, which is a photo of what appears to be like a white Mercedes-Benz. And then this was actually pulled from Treon Ingram's cellular device. So this was a text message on his device.
Day before the murder?
Day before the murder.
Outgoing from Treon Ingram?
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Incoming to Justin Johnson's phone.
Correct.
And when you pull it in Cellbrite or whatever program you're looking at, this is what it sort of comes up as. Is that correct?
Correct. It looks like it would your regular phone, but on the side, as you can see below it, that will have just the information associated with that text message.
And here's the blown up photo, is that correct?
Correct.
And that is at 6:10 p.m. day before the murder.
Day before the murder.
All right. Next.
This will be November 17th, 2021, the day of the murder at 2:58:58 a.m. And it's a outgoing text message to Treon Ingram. And it's going to be a location drop. And then the location that was dropped is going to be 1168 Bradley Street in Memphis, Tennessee, 38114.
From Justin Johnson's phone to Treon Ingram, 2:58 a.m. the morning of the murder.
Correct.
Do you know this address, 1168 Bradley Street?
Yes, it's to the left of 1174 Bradley. So if you're, I think it's if you're facing it. Yeah. So I think it's like that. It would be. If you're facing 1174, it's going to be right there to the left.
And what's the significance of Bradley Street and/or those addresses?
So-
That is Johnson sending a location to Treon Ingram at 2:58, and it's that Bradley location.
Yeah, so the location drop, it's actually, when you look at it from the map, it's kind of, it looks like he just dropped his location.
Okay, like this is where I am. or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Okay, correct.
Next slide. Now this is not pulled from the phone, is that correct?
That's correct.
Just to put the slide we just saw in context.
Correct.
3:16 a.m. For the record, this is a video that has already been played at trial as part of Exhibit 5. Where is this at?
This is going to be the Valero gas station at 853 South Highland.
And what is the significance of the two cars highlighted?
There's going to be the white Mercedes-Benz and the Q40, or I think it was an Infiniti. And essentially, I was using it to match up for the location drop. So we're trying to figure out with call detail, with this, I think the call logs you were able to track to see where they went after that.
Bradley location drop, and
Correct.
some 18-20 minutes later, we have the white Mercedes and the Infiniti at the Valero gas station.
That's correct.
And the individual who enters the store here, who's that?
That's Treon Ingram.
We can proceed to the next slide.
And then this is going to be a zoomed in still shot of the surveillance video. We were just trying to see if we could get a better view of where we were told they met, just near some air pumps or something on the back end, and that was at 3:22:19 a.m. And that was about as good as we could get it as far as zooming into the photo.
And is this the individual that gets in the Mercedes and drives away?
That's correct. They kind of do like a switch, like one gets out, the other gets in. It was just very hard to tell distinctively who that individual was.
Absolutely. Would you agree with me it's impossible to tell from even the zoom in who that individual is just from the picture?
No, maybe that they have gray pants on. That's about it.
Next slide. 10:51 a.m. Tell me what we're looking at.
That's correct. 10:51 to 10:55. And this is going to be on November 17th at 10:51 a.m. And this is a still shot photo of Justin Johnson wearing a blue hoodie, gray sweatpants, and black shoes with white stripes, and the Bass Pro Shop hat. And it looks like it's going to be his daughter just standing. You can barely see her to the left. And then
Were you aware through the investigation that he was living there across town?
Correct, yes. And then the second photo, of course, is the white Mercedes-Benz.
And that is leaving the garage at 10:55, so pretty much 10:56, 56 seconds, so 10:56 a.m., is that correct?
Correct.
$10:54 a.m., so this actually be in that time period that we just saw, is that correct?
Correct. In between that time. Justin Johnson, we found he places an outgoing call to Cornelius Smith with a 0 duration, so essentially it was a missed call. So he tried to contact him, but there was no communication, no voicemail picked up.
Okay, next slide.
11:56, 57 a.m. We have an outgoing call to Treon Ingram from Justin Johnson, and that call was about 4 minutes, a little bit over 4 minutes long. And then we have it on November 17th at 12:04:32 p.m. We have an outgoing call from Justin Johnson to Cornelius Smith, and that duration is about 17 seconds.
And we are within 20 minutes, 21 minutes of the homicide, is that correct?
That's correct.
And that call you said has duration?
That's 17 seconds. And then-
12:23, is that correct?
Correct. So on November 17, 2021 at 12:23:06 p.m., Justin Johnson receives an incoming same time frame that the homicide was being committed.
And no durations, I think I just said before, nobody picks up, no voicemail, just...
It's just something about these telephone ones that make me tired. Like, I can't help it. Like, I'm not even tired. Like, it's just it's something about this part of the trial. Like, it's so boring, nigga.
No
connection.
And they actually had an abnormal completion code, which indicates, like, if you look at the service codes, that it had some kind of network interruption. That can mean nothing significant, but essentially he never picked up, or the call might have not gone through.
12:25 p.m. directly murder time frame or after, is that correct?
Correct. 12:25:40, Justin Johnson places an outgoing call to Anthony Mims, and it's got a 2-second duration, which appears probably to go unanswered.
This is right after the homicide.
Correct.
Who's Anthony Mims?
It's Big Jook, one of the, he's like the number 2 on CMG record label.
And how's Big Jook identified in Justin Johnson's phone?
Under Jook.
As Jook.
Yes. Okay, so here is 12:26:50 p.m. on November 17, 2021, and it's a FaceTime audio, like, so this is an actual identity lookup service. So what this was, essentially this was pulled from the file system, and so this isn't the actual FaceTime communication, and this, because those were deleted, and so they were missing from the call logs. You can see, though, in the file system, the actual phone will access certain things, and so the only thing that was remaining, because you can delete and move things, you can operate and manipulate your physical phone, but you can't get rid of anything on the file system. It determines when it's appropriate to get rid of it. And so the only thing we found was that there was some type of application with the FaceTime audio that was accessed by FaceTime, and then it identified telephone number 901-692-2767, which we were able to identify to be Anthony Mims' telephone number.
So this is about a minute after the call that we just saw.
That's correct.
FaceTime audio, or FaceTime rather. FaceTime, Justin Johnson to Big Jook.
Correct. Well, an interaction, we're not necessarily sure which direction, just that the interaction occurred. Right?
FaceTime interaction between Justin Johnson's phone
Correct.
and Big Jook's phone.
Correct.
Okay,
It occurred. There's something that the phone accessed.
very good.
And then right here is November 17th, 2021. You have at 12:39. So at 12:39:07, Justin Johnson places an outgoing call to Kiana Hooper. And then at 12:39:56, Justin Johnson receives an incoming text from Kiana Hooper. And then at 12:53 p.m., Justin Johnson places an outgoing call to Kiana Hooper. And the first call, which was at 12:39:07, lasted about 15 seconds. And then the last call, which was at 12:53 p.m., the duration was about 28 seconds.
And do you know who Kiana Hooper is?
His cousin, and that's the apartment they went to after the homicide.
Next slide.
The next slide is the actual, so the text message, that was just the record showing the text message. This is the actual text message that Justin Johnson received. It was 12:39:57 p.m. And it's her address, which is 4752 Haven.
Is that the Gospel Garden Apartments?
That's correct.
Used to be called the Two Lanes.
That's correct.
I ain't never said nigga in the draft.
Next slide.
And after that, you have at 12:47:22 p.m., Justin Johnson sends that address, 4752, to Jermaine Sears.
And how did you establish that number was Jermaine Sears?
We use law enforcement databases. There was also some information within the text message that helped to identify a number. And we were referred to as attorney. He's actually it appeared to be living out of town, so we kind of let it be.
Next slide.
The next slide is going to be at 12:40:30, so this text is essentially immediately after. He says, "Now, bro, I need you now." And that's an outgoing text from Justin Johnson to Jermaine Sears.
Next slide.
And then at 12:47:51, you have Jermaine Sears sending an incoming text to Justin Johnson saying that he's on his way. I'm on my way.
Next slide.
And then this is an outgoing call at 12:58:59, and this is going to be from Justin Johnson to Kiana Hooper. It's a duration of about 12 seconds.
What's this here?
So this is Jermaine Sears. This was unique as this was inside. It was a photo that Justin Johnson had from a text between Jermaine Sears, and that vehicle was important to us because that's the vehicle that shows up at Haven Court on surveillance.
Nice.
Nigga, they still at McDonald's. Like, what the fuck could she be getting? God damn.
Dodge Charger with that light black stripe and
That's correct. All right.
so would it be more understand that you're privy to information, obviously, that came in the investigation,
Correct.
but would it be more accurate to say Justin Johnson's phone contacted Angela Arnold's phone at 1:26, 1:28, 1:28 that afternoon?
Yes, it would. With one text message, so two outgoing, which is, this came from Angela Arnold's actual physical phone, so at 1:28:50, that text, it's the Haven Court address.
Is this again to be hyper technical and accurate here? Justin Johnson's phone text Angela Arnold 4752 Haven Court.
That's correct. So it's an incoming text message from 901-236-1625.
Next slide.
Next slide is just, it shows the call log. So you have a outgoing call from the 901-236-1625, so Justin Johnson's cellular phone number, to Angela Arnold's cellular telephone number.
Okay.
And then you have, I've got on here as well, because we had her call detail records, it's just showing that incoming call coming from Justin Johnson's cellular device. At 2:07:15 p.m., you have, so this is going to be Angela Arnold's cellular device is now sending an outgoing text to Justin Johnson's cellular device. And it's going to be, "This is C, bruh, send me, bruh, numbers so I can get my phone."
And who is C?
C is going to be Cornelius. They call him Little C.
And this was, I don't even know that we need to review these last two slides, but you also printed out the cellular device information for Trion Ingram's phone and for Angela Arnold's phone. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, on those reports.
Now, you mentioned something about Justin Johnson's messages, call logs. Did you say they've been deleted?
That's correct. They were not there, but clearly when you look at call detail records, you can't delete those. And so we were able to see that he was utilizing his phone, he was communicating with people. I think as you saw, his mother calling and things like that. And those communications were not in the actual phone, the physical phone.
These are just sort of a mix of questions here that need your answer to. I think I've moved on from the phones. With regard to Mr. Johnson, a couple questions. Did you know he was a rapper?
Yes.
Did you review rap videos that he made?
I did.
Did you find some of those videos on his phone?
I did.
Did you observe in those rap videos that he has tattoos on his hands?
I did.
Have you yourself observed that he has tattoos on his hands?
Yeah.
Did you observe in those rap videos that he's left-handed or right-handed?
He's right-handed.
Did you... I'll strike that. Did there come a point in this investigation while you're the case officer on it in which law enforcement wanted to find Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Did they go to Mr. Johnson's house?
Yes.
Did they go to this?
He was not.
Was information received that he was outside of Memphis?
There was, yes.
Was information received that he had traveled back and forth sometimes from outside of Memphis to Memphis?
That's correct. Yes.
Would you describe the attempts to find Mr. Johnson as a manhunt?
Yes, you could say that.
Multiple agencies,
Multiple agencies,
including the U.S. Marshals?
including the U.S. Marshals.
As part of looking for Mr. Johnson, was his social media monitored by law enforcement in those days that y'all were looking for him?
Yeah. I wouldn't say lead. It was more like we're a support team at MPU.
Okay. Let me go back a little bit more.
Pressure World is?
Yes.
Where's that?
Right up there up Lamar.
It's right by Lamar. In the Lamar Sims area? Does that location bear any sort of significance in this case?
It does. That's where it was supposedly Cornelius Smith met with Hernandez Govan to get his actual phone that he left in the car after the homicide.
And that, as you said, that's in the area of Lamar and Sims. Is that correct?
Correct.
You aware that Mr. Govan's charged in this case?
I am.
Mr. Smith's charged in this case?
He is.
And Mr. Johnson's charged in this case?
That's correct.
Can you tell us why Big Jook is not charged in this case?
He is deceased.
Damn, Big Jook would have been a part of this case.
That's all my questions, Judge.
I like that was the prosecutor, the state. Now the defense straight drop lawyer ready to come up here, like I always say, ready to lie to us. So it seems like they gonna get this witness out the way quick.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So, Detective Browning, my name's Luke Evans. I think we've spoken before.
We have.
All right, so I've got a few more questions for you today. Just to follow up on some of the things you've testified to. So, if I understand it, you took over for Sergeant Dabney as the lead case agent or lead detective on this case.
I wouldn't say lead. It was more like we're a support team at
Okay.
MGU, but I was one of several lead investigators on that team. Dabney and others still had control of that until it turned into more of a conspiracy thing, and then as a unit we kind of pushed it forward.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sure they appreciate you not trying to take all the credit.
That's a lot of work for one man, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, couple of things. Were you working the case at all November 17th when the homicide first occurred?
No, I was not.
Okay. How far down the road is it when you get involved?
Sometime around in the beginning of December, somewhere in mid-December.
21?
Yeah.
Okay, so early on.
Oh yeah, early on it was just wasn't in November. I think it was in
Ain't
training
come
when
on
it
no
happened, and
time
then when we
soon.
came back,
Oh my God.
some of my team was already they were on the
That
scene
fucking
and were
traffic out
assisting
there, bro.
as it started to
Get off
grow.
that
You need assets and manpower and things of that nature. That's when we started getting more involved.
Okay. So, couple of things about the phone and the exhibit that was put in, where you did a PowerPoint essentially, going through some of those phone records. And you talked about this some with Mr. Hagerman when there was calls that said Cornelia Smith calls Angela Arnold, and it was from Mr. Johnson's phone, right?
Correct.
So, and he made a point to say, like, look, just to be very accurate,
Right.
all you can really say is Justin Johnson's phone contacted that person.
Correct.
There's several other places in your report where you reference that Justin Johnson called individuals, right? But you can't say that Mr. Johnson necessarily placed those calls, correct?
No, just that his cellular device placed those calls, unless you take maybe the one on the elevator. Clearly, he was on the phone.
That one. For instance, you made a reference to a call to Big Joke or Anthony Mims in a FaceTime attempt. That you interaction, I think is what you
Correct.
called it.
Correct.
You can't say who initiated that call or that FaceTime interaction, correct? Only that it was something that occurred on that phone.
Yeah, I was basing it off testimony that was given to me by other, cooperating defendants and witnesses and things of that nature.
Okay. But based on the phone records, not getting into what other...
Bro, it was straight drop phone, you dumbass lawyer. Look at the judge even dozing off. I know I'm not tripping, bro.
Yeah, the
on
record
this point.
itself,
No,
just
she
an
really
interaction
sleep.
between his
Oh,
device
shit.
and Anthony Mims' device.
Because you would agree with
Bro, the judge was asleep. She ain't paying attention.
me, when you start relying on other cooperating defendants, you're relying on them to be truthful, right? About their interactions,
Always.
right? And they're not always truthful about their interactions, okay?
That's correct. That's why we like the phone.
Right. And so and in this case, there's multiple instances where somebody's...
Sorry, lawyer. They been catching niggas with the phone. They not ready to stop catching niggas when they come to straight drop, when they come to phones, bro. His dumb ass had his phone with him every location. He's hit. He's done. It's over with.
claiming to be using someone else's phone,
And he was on fucking camera.
right? Like,
Oh, okay,
yeah, like the reason you say Cornelius Smith called Angela Arnold, right?
correct, yeah.
Right.
He didn't have his phone.
Mr. Jamarcus Johnson having Mr. Johnson's phone for a period of time, according to his testimony, and utilizing that phone, right? And Mr. Johnson wasn't the one, according to Mr. Jamarcus.
I think he stated more when we interviewed him that he was utilizing it on the behalf of just like for Justin
Sure.
doing three-way calls. So I
Sure,
don't know if
but-
that counts.
But he's got.
He was making the calls for him. This lawyer sound dumb, bro. Oh, I hate this shit, bro.
The phone, right? Not Mr. Johnson. At that part, he's got the phone, right? Not Mr. Johnson personally. So there's other people taking other people's phones for whatever reason, at least on one occasion.
Bro, straight drop a car off and a phone off to his brother before he left. Is you gonna say that, bro? Like, is you gonna say that? Is you gonna say how did he get his phone? You gonna let us know? Or you just gonna keep saying he didn't have his phone? Like, come on, bro. He really helping this man to get life. Well, he already was gonna get life.
Not even being in the same location as that person, right?
Yeah.
But when you're purely looking at call data, all you can say is this phone did this action,
Correct.
right?
This phone made that contact of this phone, yeah.
And talking about, and I'm not asking you what someone said, but we talked about cooperating defendants in this case, one of which you met with was Hernandez Govan,
Correct.
on at least 2 occasions, correct?
Correct.
And he came in and gave you information about this case.
That's correct.
And he also did that, he had an attorney present, right?
Yes.
And he did that pursuant to an agreement, right, where he had protections, something called a proffer agreement, where he got to come in and say what he wanted to say without his words being used against him. Isn't that correct?
Correct. He had a problem.
Right? And you understand that to mean that some people call that kind of a queen for a day agreement. He's allowed to come in,
And tell the truth.
hopefully, right?
Well, that's on him because then he loses the proper agreement.
Right. Right. And that's the risk, right? People come in and lie.
Well, that's his risk then.
Right?
Right?
But the assumption is he tells the truth under a proffer agreement, and what he's telling law enforcement in that meeting, those words, they can't come in and use those words against him, right?
Yes.
It's a form of something called use immunity, right? But they can't use those words. Cookie, right? And it shows a Bass Pro Shop, what looks like a Bass Pro Shop hat, right?
That's correct.
And you see a similar hat at Concourse, Crosstown Video, correct?
Yeah, identical hat. I would
Right.
say.
Well, you say identical, but let me ask you, did you recover the hat?
No.
All right.
I guess that's the only thing he can say is he so happened to have the same clothes on as the killer that day with drawers. Same drawers, same everything. He just so happened to have that on that day. That's really the only way this man can go. And he really taking that dumbass approach.
Very popular hat.
It's distinct.
Distinctive, no doubt, right? I mean, it's Bass Pro Shop. But a very popular hat. I mean, almost a stone's throw from here is one of the biggest Bass Pro Shop in the
It's
world.
a lot more popular now.
Well,
That was not a common thing at that time, I don't think, to see rappers wearing the Bass Pro Shop that I saw, and that's what I do. For a living, we deal with all types of situations where you're keeping up with the
I mean,
videos and what these guys are doing.
so you're aware that a rapper named Travis Scott has his own, like, signature Bass Pro Shop hat, right?
No, I do not.
Okay. So, and people like Gwen Stefani have gone on Instagram and posted themselves in a Bass Pro Shop hat,
No, I didn't know that.
right? And so, kind of a trend, a popular trend, right? Those people are posting it. I mean,
So what you trying to tell us? Oh, like what? I don't get this lawyer. Like what he trying to get at? Like
Gwen Stefani doesn't live in Memphis that I know of.
Yeah, I mean, if you say it is,
Right.
I just have not seen it when it came. That just wasn't a common hat that I observed in our investigations and just things, and,
Right.
you know.
Well, and even
Gwen Stefani,
so,
you know what I mean?
well, you know, some people like the voice these days, right?
I'm not hating on it.
And so, during your investigation, you interviewed at least one individual from the Makita Cookie that identified a person and said he always wears a Bass Pro Shop hat.
I didn't interview. I don't know what interview you're talking about.
Well, do you remember? Would you have reviewed the other interviews in this case? Were you?
Yeah, there was a lot of interviews, but I don't remember somebody being identified. I could
And-
be wrong, but I just don't recall that ever happening.
So I'm going to pass you something to refresh your recollection.
Okay.
And okay. And there's a highlighted portion there in the middle. What looks like an interview that was done by Detective, I think, or then Sergeant Dabney.
Okay. So,
Do you see what I'm referring to?
yeah.
Okay. So there was at least one person interviewed, and I'm not going to state this fellow's name because I don't know.
Burglarizing Walmarts with a Bass Pro hat.
Something, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, but there's a
I
guy out
don't even see
there.
a reference to a murder or anything about that, but
Well, I mean, some guy running around in a Bass Pro Shop hat, right? So, popular hat, whether
somebody.
what the heck being popular got to do with him, Justin Johnson, wearing it? Like I don't get it, bro.
say again.
According to somebody, I guess I don't remember interviewing that person or even seeing that interview.
But I mean, no doubt you looked at it. The interview happened. There's a report here of it from Detective Dabney, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, the white Mercedes, did it have any bullet holes in it?
I think it did in the rear. Pretty sure.
Okay. What about inside? Were there any indications of a bullet hole or?
There might have been. I can't recall. I think the window might have been busted out.
Okay.
It's been 3 or 4 years. I haven't reviewed everything.
Bro, it wasn't no bullets in the car, bro. Like you ain't gonna slip nobody up to say nothing different, bro. He's done.
Now, I'll ask you this question about cameras. You're aware that as soon as Bradley Street became a place of interest, where a car is found on Bradley, that detectives went out and canvassed that area to talk to neighbors and everyone else
Correct.
to see if they had any information,
Correct.
right? Also to see if they had cameras.
Correct.
As you sit here today, has there ever been
You know why he done? Because the prosecutor didn't even bring this up to him. He just doing his own thing. He keep mentioning to everybody that Govan had a camera, but no one asked him. Okay, Govan had a camera. What? Okay, bro. What the fuck?
cameras produced, camera footage produced from anywhere on Bradley?
No, I know they knocked on all the doors, but I didn't see anywhere where they were able to recover any actual video
Okay.
from the Bradley Street.
And do you have any direct knowledge of someone knocking on Hernandez Govan's door?
Look.
I mean, I can only assume because you can see there's a supplement where they're going and knocking on every door, but some of those supplements aren't that detailed as far as what actually interacted. It looked like either.
But him telling us that Govan got a camera, what the fuck that's doing for us?
They didn't answer the door, or they didn't hear or see anything, was the common answer they were getting, and so it would have been pretty significant to get some type of video from Bradley Street.
At any point in your investigation, as you sit here today, have you ever been made aware of any camera footage possessed by Hernandez Govan? And that would be important, right, if he had cameras facing that abandoned house on Bradley Street, correct?
Oh,
And something that if law enforcement found out or knew he had cameras, you would have acted on to try to get.
Straight drop on every other camera view. And this nigga arguing about the one time this nigga ain't on camera. Bro, what the fuck? Nigga, what about the times the nigga is on camera? Say something.
That footage, if it existed. And you don't have anything like that.
Ooh, woke me up.
One moment, Judge.
It's over.
Those are my questions.
Can you redirect?
No further questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Alright, we done with this witness. Now, hey, let's see what's about to go on for the rest of the day. That was quick. Let's see. It's about 54 minutes.